Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I got so tired of just talking to myself in my basement like a crazy person that I invited somebody very special. This is my dad.
Why, hello there.
He gracefully agreed to be on the show, and here we are. Not sure how long this one will go for. Don't really have too many topics planned out, just like the last couple, but I wanted to ask something that might be a bit interesting. What was I like as a kid?
What were you like as a kid? Well, you were energetic, and let's say right from the time you were a baby, then you couldn't stop moving. Like even your arms
Like just
would
flapping
flap
up and down?
Yeah, your arms were flapping as a baby, and you were happy, except for when you're colicky. Colicky sucked.
What does colicky mean?
Colicky means that you have painful gas that you cannot you cannot get rid of without a whole lot of help. And I mean, it seemed like nothing helped. And then I heard that your case of colic wasn't really that bad compared to other kids, which I thought was, oh my God. I feel for these other parents. But other than colic, then you're an easy baby. Although Mom might say the projectile vomit was something else to be dealt with.
I was a very, very pukey kid, and then I became a pukey teenager.
For two very different reasons.
Yeah.
Although as a in between baby and puking teenager, then you still had your moments of puking due to regular old illness, and those were always fun and interesting. And Ryan's no different. Ryan being Eric's little brother, if you didn't already know, and they both vomit in the middle of the night with very little warning, which usually involves myself and Mom doing a lot of cleanup on the floor and the trail in between the vomit pool and the washroom.
Mom brought that up a bit ago, how the one time I came in the room after throwing up in the middle of the night, and I said, "Mom, I did it. I didn't throw up on the floor this time."
Yep, that's when we knew you finally made it.
I made it in the world.
Yep, you were done. You didn't have to accomplish anything else for quite some time after that.
And I didn't.
And that's okay. I never accomplished figuring out what I wanted to do until I was 30. Actually, maybe about 27, and then it took me 3 years to get it going.
Well, that's dedication. A lot of people probably just end up like stuck in a rut in their 25s, and then they're just there and don't really do too much or don't have the opportunity.
Yeah, and that would probably be the biggest thing, the opportunity, because I wouldn't have had the same opportunity that I did get if I stayed at my old job. If I stayed at my old job, then I never would have gotten an apprenticeship to be able to go on and provide a better life than what I was going to provide where I was doing what I was. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with what I was doing other than the way it made me feel was that, oh my God, there's got to be more to life than this. And the thought too, there was kind of some writing on the wall where I worked that this job may not last forever. The way it was being run by the people that were running it was kind of like watching a very slow train wreck happening.
That's normally just how it is with factory work a lot of the time too.
Yeah. And sometimes that train wreck that's happening somehow corrects itself and the train just keeps on going on. And if you're lucky, then you ride it out and you wind up living not such a bad life after all. And if I stayed where I was, then for sure it did correct itself. But I think it took, the people that I worked with would tell me that it took probably a good, say, 6 years before things started to straighten out again. Like, pretty much 2 weeks after I left, we went from working 56 hours a week. And they said that they dropped to about 20 hours a week if they were lucky. And that was only for the high seniority people. A lot of low seniority people were laid off for quite a long time. And then it took probably 6 years before everything was kind of straightened out. And that was mostly because it was bought out by another company. So sometimes it works out, but those people that were working there, and sometimes it was couples that worked there.
Yeah, people that get their whole family in there.
Yeah.
You see that a lot with every factory, I think. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
The one that I'm at now.
Yeah.
Tons of families.
That makes sense.
Back to puking. Tell the
yeah, work's boring.
Yeah,
More
work is
puking.
boring. Tell the story of like all the college kids at the campground.
Oh yes. So we went camping with Eric's uncle and aunt with his cousins who were about the same age as Eric. They had a nice tow behind trailer, and we had a little pop-up trailer. And while we were setting it up, there was some college kids right next to us, a guy and two girls. And while we weren't 100% focused on what he was up to, he rapidly disappeared, and saw him about 5 feet away from them, chatting away and talking to the girls mostly. The guy was kind of like an afterthought to him, but they
naturally,
yeah, they enjoyed talking to him, and we apologized, of course, for him going over and potentially bothering them. And they said it was no problem. They liked the random company, and so then we carried on doing what campers do, and then we heard the gurgling and sputtering in the middle of the night, and recognized the sound. And Eric was, I think, about 2 years old at the time.
Well, this was yesterday.
No, that was with the neighbors. You just don't.
You're right.
Yeah, you just don't want to remember them. But yeah, so we heard the spitting and sputtering, and I had to do a leap over top of Eric's mom to get down to the level that Eric was on, because he was on the table portion of the bedding. That way he would be close by, and then I picked him up and was kind of frustrated under my breath, saying, "Not in the fucking trailer." Why now? And kind of picked him up, was holding him with two hands, wrestled one hand free, and pushed the door open just in time to stick him out the door, and then he barfed past the little step that we had. So that was a good shot on his part. He didn't make any mess inside the trailer. And when I looked up and he was puking, and I see the college kids, they're still at their fire, and they're all kind of like, whoa. Had that look of, did we just see what I think we just saw?
That's the demon child.
So then they, again, I said, "Oh, sorry about that. We got a puker." And they said, "No worries. We're going to be doing that later on too."
I think I told it on the podcast, but I don't know if I ever told you. The one time me, Liam, and Tyler, and one of our other friends, we all went to a party back when we were like 19, like just turned 19, I think. And Liam wasn't drinking, so he brought his car. And when we were there, we met one of our other friends that we worked with. And he was like incomprehensibly drunk. Like he was almost blackout. And so night's kind of winding down. We're like, let's go get some McDonald's. Like we're all hungry. And our one coworker gets in the back of the car with us. And like that, I think it's so funny. Anytime I hear people do that, like gurgling sound or like the almost dry heaving, because he was like, yeah, he was like, I go.
You've got to roll down the window.
He like presses the button to roll down the window, but he only rolls it down enough to stick his lips out of the top of it. So he just throws up all over the side of Liam's car, and like he still gets like a decent portion inside, like because his lip is only like just barely hanging over the window.
Yes, I remember that story, and I remember laughing and laughing and picturing it, because I'm picturing one lip out and the other lip pressed up against something, so there's a whole lot of spray back. And good for him, at least getting some of it down the window and on the outside of the car.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny though. And the way it was, I was right beside him too. So I was screaming, laughing the whole time. And Liam was furious.
I can't imagine why. Why did we pick this guy up?
That guy's a boxer now as well.
The puker?
Yeah, the puker's a boxer now. I really hope he gets punched in the stomach until he gets someday.
He probably will.
Another thing that I was thinking of, what's a lesson that you learned from me, like, while parenting, that you, like, definitely made sure didn't happen with Ryan?
All right. Well, this is probably going to sound like a weird one. When you were small, like probably around two years old again, you would not keep your hands out of the planters. And
the planters.
Yeah, and you were constantly digging in the planters, and of course that meant dirt all over the floor, all around the planters.
I ate dirt a lot when I was a kid too.
Well, you must have kept that hidden, because I don't remember seeing you eat dirt.
It was grass. I ate grass.
Oh, grass, yes. Yeah. You were into grass starting at an early age. I don't know where you picked it up from, because I never did. Anyways, so you wouldn't stop digging in the planters, no matter how much I tried, no matter what I said. You would keep on digging in the planters. And so finally, one day, I caught you red-handed or brown-handed, because you were dirty, and it was right after I'd finished saying, "Don't dig in the planters. You're making a mess. I'm tired of cleaning it up." And then 2 seconds later, your hands are back in the planters. So I took one hand out, and I said, "I don't want to do this, because I don't really believe in corporal punishment." So I lightly smacked the back of your hand. I mean, it sounded like this. And you wailed and wailed like I had just shot your mother and stepped on whatever pet you had at the time, like I think it was a fish, and then just punched you right in the belly. And the way I felt was like I had actually just done all that stuff too. I felt so bad. Just the moment I went like that, was like, oh, I am the worst parent ever. So I told myself, never again. I'm gonna find a better way to deal with whatever than going through the pain that it caused me, because I know that you're not gonna remember any of it.
Well, actually, I do remember that thoroughly. I remember the second that your hand touched the back of my hand, all of my fingers curled backwards because every bone in my hand shattered.
Ooh, now you're just being mean.
My lungs ruptured from screaming so loud.
That part I believe. I think the only thing that saved me there was that I was home alone and Mom didn't witness any of it. Or else that would have been just 10 times worse. There would be no talking my way out of that one.
I remember I got you in trouble a few times.
Several.
Yes, several.
Innumerable amount of times.
For yelling, or at the time, probably what I thought was yelling, because as the people can tell, we project our voices fairly well. We're not quiet people by any means.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe you can tell, but it sounds like Eric is still kind of talking to himself. There's only a slight tonal change between him and myself.
People in the comments years later are going to be like, fake, Eric doesn't have it.
I hope so. That would be hilarious. Anyways, where were you going with that?
I don't know. Just, I think, like, just on the idea of me getting you in trouble with Mom.
Oh, yes.
What other things did I do other than, like, say that you yelled at me?
Oh.
When I was doing something stupid.
Well, that was basically all you had to do, was do something bad enough to get me to raise my voice. And I mean, not very much, like, just slightly above where I am now. and it was more about, I think, what I said, which wasn't anything bad. It was more like, it could have been as simple as, don't do that. And it was like that, because nobody ever hears me talking like that very often, except for maybe the people at work. Where they'll hear me saying stuff like that. But even them, they're like, they just see smiley guy Daryl walking down the aisle, and it doesn't, it takes a lot to ruffle my feathers for real. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can get cursing and swearing just as much or more than the next guy, but I try and keep that at work, and that way, that was my way of saying, okay, this is leading by example. I was kind of showing you and Ryan that you don't swear in front of Nan and Papa. and I think that you guys have picked up on that really well.
I remember one time, like, the phone was ringing at Nana's, and she was, like, too far away to get it, and it was, like, an important call. And she, like, didn't stand up fast enough, and she was like, damn it! And it was like a bullet to the stomach. I was like, oh.
I've been holding back all this time. Damn it, Dad.
Oh, you have to tell the Cheerio story now.
Oh, that's probably, like, the best. I've got guys at work that, well, one specifically, Pete, he remembers this story, and to this day, I mean, it was like maybe last month that we referenced that story. But Eric wanted a bowl of Cheerios for breakfast, and I said, well, okay, let me go get some Cheerios. So I walk around from the front room into the kitchen, open the cupboard door, and realize, oh no, we don't have any Cheerios. So I look over, and Eric's right there, and I said, sorry, buddy, we don't have any Cheerios. And he just looked at me so disappointed and said, for fuck's sake. And I had to stick my head back in the cupboard and say, "What?" Because I was doing my darndest not to break out laughing uproariously in front of him, because then he would just know, oh, that's the word to say to make Dad laugh. And then I pulled my head back out right away, and he had this look on his face like, oh, I've done it now. And he just took off running into the front room, and I thought, oh, thank God, because that gave me a second to just cover my mouth up like this and really just laugh silently into my hands, and then it took me about a minute, but I was finally able to compose myself and come out to the front room and find him. And he looked like he was going to get it. And I just said really quietly, "Don't you ever say that again." And he's done really good. I don't hear him say that word in front of us. I'm pretty sure he does.
I do say it, just mainly at work.
And that's appropriate.
Yeah.
It's a factory. It's almost part of the lingo. If you don't talk like that in a factory, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. All the quiet people, I don't ever really hear them swear, and it makes me nervous when I'm around them. Because I know they're going through the same thing that I am every day, and it's like, oh my God.
What does it take to make that person
They're
swear?
probably the ones that are crazy at home. That's how it is.
That's what I think. If you can't swear at work, then, man, there's something wrong. The rest of us have something to worry about.
That's what I like about work, though. If I'm not swearing, I'm laughing, because I got a good few coworkers. Me and Sam, we were scream laughing the other day because we thought about this little character that we made of. We had the idea of what if a guy made a radio station where it was just him like reading audiobooks, like a good wholesome idea. Like he's just reading audiobooks. He'll start the book in the morning and then he'll finish at night. Just go through the whole thing in one day. But the catch is he won't stop recording when like he's like doing anything else, because you can't
like going for a dump and
and that's the one thing that Sam came up with first, and he was like, okay, he needs to go take a shit. And he gets up from his desk, but he takes the microphone with him. And like obviously like you hear the plop sound, he's like, ugh. He flushes it, and then he doesn't wash his hands.
Oh no!
And then he goes back, and you hear him stick his whole thumb in his mouth to like turn the pages, like like he starts flicking through the pages and keeps going. It's like, okay, and now I'm going to take a smoke break. He brings the microphone outside, and you hear him like light his cigarette up, and he's like,
yeah, and I'm picturing the guy that's having a hard time, and he's a little constipated, and there's a whole lot of heaving and pushing and not much else going on, and then the smokers, I've heard the smokers, like the guy sitting down like on the other side of the cafeteria, just he can't get outside for a smoke, and he's just
They make me nervous during COVID, because we got a lot of smokers at where I work too.
Oh.
And like you know how everybody is, like when somebody starts coughing, I'll even catch myself doing it too. I do my best to not be that paranoid, but like sometimes like somebody's just on the other side of the room just like oh my God.
a little bit of spittle coming out, and
like they'll take
red eyes.
They'll take their mask down to like cough too. Nobody wants to cough or sneeze in their mask, but like
that's like a wet fart. and you don't have any spare underwear.
Yeah.
You're stuck with that for the rest of the day.
Have you sneezed in your mask yet?
Oh yeah.
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 It's not pleasant.
Yeah, we're kind of lucky at work where we've got tons of masks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big enough company where they have another division that's making masks for the rest of the divisions. So we've got tons of masks. So if I sneeze in my mask, I can say "Huh," and go get a new one and put it on. I know other companies are struggling where they're like, here's your mask for the day. See if you can make it last too.
I wish that we like because with your company you like have to wear those strict ones.
Yeah.
With ours, we're allowed to like bring our own in, and I kind of like that more because I have to wear safety glasses and I have to be precise with a lot of the things I do, and I can't really be working with fogged up glasses because I have to see.
Yeah.
And it really sucks having to go through like it's good on one hand because like we made all of our own homemade ones where like they have the big thick wires and that like it blocks off all the nose and everything, so like no breath gets up under that, and like it just dissipates out to the side, which is really nice. It's just I wish that all of like the throwaway masks were like that, where they had thicker wires in them. All they need is thicker wires, and then we don't have a like fog up problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and the cotton really helps because the mask that we have, it's got a thicker wire and it fits your nose pretty well, but it's still that fake material. It's still got plastic in it that won't disintegrate, and that's apparently what a lot of people are doing. They throw their mask on the ground thinking that these are going to disintegrate, and they don't. So
it's not like an apple you throw at your window.
Yeah, that's right. So don't throw your masks on the ground. Throw them in a garbage can, you losers.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
This podcast is for the people that put garbage in their pockets until they find a garbage can.
Yeah, good for you. But anyways, back to the wire. The wire that we have, it's a pretty solid wire, but because of the material, my glasses, because I have to wear safety glasses too, they fog up. So I have to wear my glasses so they're pretty much down off almost to the end of my nose, and when you're walking around with these bifocal glasses, because that's what happens when you get older, kids. All of a sudden one day you need freaking bifocals, and I don't know how that happened, but it happened. And then you're going downstairs and you're almost tripping because everything went blurry, because now you're suddenly looking through the bifocal part. Now it was bad enough looking through the fog. Now I'm looking through foggy, blurry mess and almost tripping going down the stairs. But for sure the cotton, it breathes better. So I'm not sure if that means it doesn't stop as many droplets. We should probably go outside on a cold day and see how much mist comes through.
How moistly we speak.
Yes. In the words of our great Prime Minister.
You know what we got to do, though? We just got to burn the commie cloth.
Yes, that's my cousin talking. One of my family members is definitely against the establishment for commie cloth wearing.
Commie cloth wearing.
Putting your mask on is just a way of succumbing to the orders of your future dictators, I think, is how it goes.
Yeah. How long has she been like that?
I'm not sure, because I don't...
Was it just one of those things that like kind of popped up when Trump came into power?
For us, yes. I'm kind of guessing that maybe for her brother and sister, maybe they've seen this coming for years. But for me, it was kind of like, oh, okay.
You were so pleasant before all of this.
Yeah.
Before we friended you on Facebook.
Yes. I knew that she was a bit of a loose cannon beforehand. I just didn't realize just how loose or how much of a, I guess, conspiracy theorist / anti-masker / anti-vaxxer.
Is she an anti-vaxxer too?
Yeah, she's... I shouldn't say anti-vaxxer because I don't know if she's against all vaccines. I just know she's not going to take the COVID-19 vax.
Because they say that there's a tracking chip in it.
Ah, yes. Well, that might be why. Because that would fall under the conspiracy theorist sort of deal there.
And I'm going to say this now, but like I'm not an advocate for like putting tracking chips in. Like I don't think there's a tracking chip in it. I don't know why there would be.
No.
But like for the same reason of like getting the vaccine, odds are if you're getting the vaccine, you're in some portfolio somewhere. People can find you. They know where you are. You probably have a cell phone with your location on, trying to find restaurants.
People already know where you are.
Yeah, I don't
Wake up.
think. And like, odds are you probably don't really have much reason to hide either. Like, I don't know what it is with like people and like, I get like not wanting extreme surveillance, but like, it's like they're gonna put cameras in our house. It's like, well, I don't like that, but odds are they know where your house is.
Yep. And they're going to be very disappointed and excessively bored if somebody has to sit there and watch every little detail of every single person.
And that's the thing, too. I don't know why everybody's, like, so afraid of, like, this kind of, like, the same level of tracking there is. I don't think that it's as extreme as everybody thinks it is. Like, there is not going to be somebody there. How many people live in all of the world? Like 9 billion?
All of the world? I think it's 7 billion.
7 billion.
I might be behind the times there, but it could be up to 8 now.
But
I mean,
there's 8 billion people in the world. They're not going to have 4 billion people watching those people, and then the other 4 billion people watching those people.
Because who's watching the first 4 billion?
Exactly. What are they going to see? They're just going to see, the 4 billion people are going to see another 4 billion people slouching over in front of their computers or like doing whatever they do during their day.
Yeah.
And
they're going to be wishing, oh man, I wish I was watching porn like that guy.
And then they're going to go home and do it.
Yeah.
And then that guy's going to be watching the other guy.
Jeez. I want that guy's job. If you just angle your camera a little bit better there, sir, I'd be able to watch porn with you.
Yeah, like they...
Where's that voice come from?
Yeah, they message the other person. FBI guy, I need you to, like, turn the camera a bit.
I'm tired of watching you. I want to watch what you're watching.
Another thing I was thinking of. Obviously, there's a definite different age gap between you and myself.
Yeah.
And what I was thinking was, like, now I'm trying to trace it back to the first one, the first, like, useless human being that we made famous. And I'm thinking, like, maybe it's, like, Honey Boo Boo status or, like, Jersey Shore. Was there anybody like that when you were growing up?
When we were growing up?
Because, like, there's some kind of fascination now. It was bad before, but it's even worse now, where we're just making
celebrities out of people that shouldn't be celebrities.
Yeah, like swamp people or like Duck Dynasty. I know people like Duck Dynasty, but oh my god, like why?
It was different. Probably that's why. And there was the idea that these are just a bunch of guys and girls that were just like being followed around with a camera, and they were doing what a bunch of guys would do, and their wives putting up with it. Mm-hmm. and then after a few episodes, then we realized that this is like put on a bit. Some of it was still funny to watch.
That's why I don't like reality TV too. I don't know how
it's really
people
not
fall
real.
into that trap.
Yeah, It's really unreal because there's no way that just because a camera's on them, every day they've got something to deal with, like big. I mean, I don't have anything big to deal with every single day. Every day I've got things to deal with, but they're pretty mundane, boring. Oh, today I've got to go to work.
Yeah,
that used to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going to work used to be fun because the people around us were fun people and we were allowed to have fun. Mm-hmm. Now it's like fun is being beaten out of the working world. I used to say, if you're not having fun at work, you're doing something wrong. Now it's like, geez, it's hard to have fun at work because, well, they got cameras up everywhere and you can't goof off like you used to. And by goofing off, I mean like people hiding up in the ductwork with a piece of tubing and hitting you with a piece of plasticine.
Yeah.
Like blowgun style. I mean, that was fun. Now that's called horsing around and people get written up for it.
Or and you could have seriously hurt yourself or fallen or something.
Yes. Yeah. Well, sure. That's what made it exciting.
But like, I don't know what this fascination is with like live action TV. I guess game shows are different. Game shows are different, but like Honey Boo Boo, I think that was the real tipping point where we started making stupid people famous. Yeah. And like it got...
Because I don't...
It got multiplied by like 1,000 as soon as YouTube got famous too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because when I look back at when I was a kid, and I'm like 50 plus, so that's... Like, I don't remember like people being famous because they were somebody's rich kid. I don't remember people like just suddenly being famous because they did something funny on TV and then they got a cult following, because that's basically what it is. It's a cult following. And like we just didn't have that I remember. Maybe there's other people my age that do remember other stuff. Maybe they had access to more of that kind of stuff. Maybe my interests were different from theirs, so they would be more up to date and with the famous people of my time. I only remember famous people being famous because they
did
acted
something.
Yeah, they actually did something, like acting,
like they made
or music,
or
acting.
Because I remember
musical artists, even politicians. I remember Pierre Trudeau made the news for quite a few days because he hung off the back of a train flipping the bird at a bunch of protesters.
If Justin Trudeau did that today, oh my gosh.
Oh yes. Yeah, for sure. And I think the way that celebrity works nowadays, if Junior Trudeau did that today, he would probably be okay. He would not necessarily get away with it, but he wouldn't suffer for it in any way. He would, if he was going to get booted out of office, it wouldn't be because he flipped people to bird. If anything, that would get him more votes.
It would be his own kind of guilt kind of thing that he would do. Because I've said it before on the podcast, cancel culture is... It's really a useless thing. It's something that, like, it's only in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. Cancel culture doesn't work unless you let it. Because, like, just keep, like, if somebody tries to cancel you, just keep moving, and then eventually they'll forget.
Yeah.
Like, how many times has, like, Mel Gibson been canceled, or, like, Kanye West, or so many other people. Kanye West was in the news for like having sex with a dude recently, and it still got overshadowed by DC being invaded.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean,
yeah, that's one of these things is a historical event. The other one is just
like,
Kanye.
yeah, whatever. Maybe he's just saying that. Or whoever is saying it is, maybe they're just saying that. They want to get famous for something.
Cancel culture is a mindset.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
There's a guy like Dark Side Phil. He got caught jerking off on stream. And he's still doing okay.
Yeah.
He survived that.
That's actually
like something that people should not come back from.
Yeah. And I mean, right now he's actually doing better than the guy. I can't remember if it was CNN or whatever. One of the news channels where they were in a Zoom call. He thought he had the camera off and decided, well, now's the best time to whip it out and take matters into my own hands. And well, he didn't have his camera off, and he didn't have the audio off either. Everyone's kind of like, oh my God, we just saw that happen. And
nobody stopped him?
Maybe when he pressed a button that he thought muted and ended the call, like he thought the call was ended, and maybe he hit a button that made it where he couldn't hear them. I have no idea. I'm not sure how that all went down.
None of those people in that call are his real friends if they didn't say something as fast as they could.
I've got a feeling if that's your first thought after ending a Zoom call with a bunch of people, then they probably weren't your friends. I mean, you were barely there through the whole meeting in the first place.
Oh, I can't wait for this to end.
But yeah, that whole cancel culture is like, that's really nothing new either. That part is not new. We're for sure
shut somebody down for doing something.
Yeah,
something
famous people do something wrong, and then give it a couple of years, they'll be back. That's not new. And same for politicians. I mean, look at all the politicians right now that went traveling despite saying, don't travel because that's bad. And now they're caught traveling. And it's not just politicians. It's like medical hospital leaders that are getting busted.
Yeah, London's hospital leader was really restricting his employees from going anywhere and being told to uphold their company standard of being cautious and safe while making several trips to the U.S. during COVID. Yeah,
like he really went overboard, raking them over the coals, saying that what a horrible job they're doing of being examples to society, when there was an outbreak in a couple of the hospitals, saying basically you're doing it wrong, and then he's doing it wrong, and all he can say is, well, I'm really sorry, and I take full responsibility for my actions. And I'm thinking, well, what's your idea of full responsibility for your actions? Because you're still working. He's
putting his hands behind his back and kicking the dirt a bit. He's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's like, if I get busted for doing something wrong at work, then there's steps and that will eventually lead to being fired. And if your discretion was bad enough, you get fired off the hop. I mean, that what he did could potentially be it's because you're in a medical setting and you're supposed to be a higher example than common average Joe, then it doesn't seem unreasonable that he should be at least packed up and sent home for a month without pay,
or like pay cut for all the time that he was on vacation.
Yeah, because
and
he went away.
Back to cancel culture. Nobody's going to remember this in a few years, or even maybe a few months. Who's going to care?
Yeah, and that was
the people that were probably working under him.
Yeah, and that was probably one of the lessons that I've learned over my years and tried to impart on you and Ryan was, in 100 years, who's going to care? Mm-hmm. I mean, what you're going through today is horrible. Just try and bring it into perspective and say, in 100 years, who's going to care? I mean, even for Kanye, who's going to care?
Yeah.
I mean, in 100 years from now, probably
Ultimately,
Kanye's going to be like, oh, he had sex with another man. How lovely. Yeah. He was a true journeyman.
He was a very open-minded individual. But yes. Even then, like, ultimately, who cares now? Like, really?
Yeah, that's really not news. Like, that's kind of like, whatever. I'm not surprised.
Another thing that I've noticed with the news, too, I feel like different politically aligned news teams should be abolished. Like, one for the left or one for the right, because it's only making things worse. I don't remember ever, like, before Trump and Hillary, and, like, extension now, Trump and Biden, I don't remember anybody actually caring that much about politics.
No.
And, like, the biggest it ever got before that was, like, Obama getting in. It was like, okay, cool. Black president.
That is a step forward. A huge step forward.
But, like, in the end, nobody was, like, really like, this is the best thing to ever happen. I'm going out and I'm going to, like, spread the name. Like, it wasn't a bad guy and a good guy.
Yeah.
Depending on, like, which side you were on. Mm-hmm. It was just, this is a guy, this is another guy. And that was it. What changed? Like, what really changed?
Yeah, and it was, well, Trump brought a whole new level of wow. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was no two ways about it. I mean, he wasn't even elected yet, and the whole grabbed her by the pussy thing came out.
Yeah, yeah.
And people still voted him in. I mean, here was a person that had several victims coming forward, and other people said, hey, that's okay.
It's okay.
Let's vote him in. What's the worst thing that could happen? Mm-hmm. He's not going to grab me by the pussy.
It's bizarre. Like, I think it was mainly because that was an election that was based off, like, choosing whichever the lesser evil was, because I don't remember people ever really being that excited for Hillary either.
No. And that was more about the show. Once they brought Trump in, I think it was because he's not a politician.
Yeah.
And he's a showman. And right now you see the memes where he's a snake oil salesman. They superimpose his head on the guy selling snake oil. Mm-hmm. And it's funnier than hell. But I mean, I think that's where the difference was, is he was hitting below the belt way nobody else would.
He was interesting. I think that's where he got most people.
You couldn't deny that part. But he's interesting. And there was also the thought that here's a businessman that, I mean, admittedly, I didn't really know anything about him. So my thought was, well, here's a businessman. Let's see how a businessman is going to do running the country. If running the country like a business is actually better, then, hey, we can see what actually goes wrong. And boy, did we see what could actually go wrong.
Now I'm ready for, like, the floodgates to open, though, because we had a TV host run a country. Now I think that opens it up to so much more opportunity for, like, what else we can see, because it's not happening in our country. To be honest, I really couldn't care less. But now I was really hoping Kanye would win. Because I just wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah, that would be very, very, very interesting. I mean, it couldn't possibly be any worse than Trump. Could it? Maybe.
Who knows? He's become very religious recently. He's talking about opening up a like a citywide church now.
Are we talking Kanye?
Yeah, Kanye.
Okay.
And he wants it to be like, it almost sounds like a cult. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. Sounds right.
Because he's a very interesting human being. I like separating music Kanye from like celebrity Kanye because they're two very different people. I really like his music. Normal Kanye is crazy. You can see where the two bleed together. But
yeah, and in Kanye's defense, I mean, his level of crazy, as you call it, is supported by actual diagnosis from real doctors that he has an issue. And it becomes more and more apparent when he's not dealing with his issue properly with drugs and not having to do them. I can only guess what they do to you, and try and put myself in other people's shoes and say, okay, yeah, probably if I was taking the stuff that he has to take to make him normal, like everyone else, like his normal is not my normal.
Exactly.
So I mean, you're kind of trying to bottle a genie when you're stuffing a bunch of drugs into somebody and make them act like what the majority of society calls normal. I mean, he looks at us and probably thinks we're the crazy motherfuckers.
Oh, probably, because like when you think about it, like he's off doing like his own thing all the time, and like so many other people are, and like we're going to work every day doing the same thing. We're probably the crazy ones to them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I worry about what's her name, Britney Spears.
Mm-hmm. She hasn't been in the news in a while.
Not really, but like on Instagram or whatever, she's been posting a lot of weird stuff.
Oh.
And like it makes it look like she's being like under control by like all of her managers, because she hasn't been okay for a while.
Right.
Because I always do my best to like define that differently, like okay and normal. Okay is like you aren't making waves and like people seeing you like shave your head or driving with a baby in your lap.
Yeah.
Normal is like nothing. You're just a blank slate. Nobody is saying anything about you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess when you're a celebrity, then not having anything being written about you could be the worst thing ever.
And that's where the saying, like, all publicity is good publicity probably comes from. Because if you're making headlines, hey, you're on the cover.
Yeah, you're on the cover, and if you're the head of a company, you just got your company some free publicity. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of
probably where
it comes
Elon
from
Musk
too.
is making most of his money, because it's just like one crazy thing after the other. Like, you can't stop hearing about this guy.
Yeah. Last night in the news, it was said that most of his fortune, like he just beat out Jeff Bezos because Tesla became a real hot commodity on the markets. Mm-hmm. So that meant that his shares, I can't remember what they said they increased by, but let's just say they've doubled.
Bezos.
Yeah.
I really will be disappointed if they don't make pyramids for themselves when they die. Like that's the level of rich I think they are now.
Yeah, they could probably just order the pyramids to get started right now.
Yeah.
And no, I don't want.
And then
I don't want to
like
knock
another
off
120 years. Because they will. I think they're like, everybody was saying like Disney is frozen. I don't think so.
Yeah.
There was a whole conspiracy theory saying that they made the entire Frozen movie because they didn't want people searching up Disney Frozen in ice, so that like, people would stop looking that up. That's bullshit, but
but that's funny. I like it.
It's funny.
I like where you're going with that.
But I think they very well could. They probably have the money to like do as much research as they can to like entomb them in a golden throne or something, so that they just never die.
Yeah, yeah. And pour honey on them, because apparently that doesn't spoil either.
Yeah, or like entomb them in like the Oreo cream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, preservatives. That stuff doesn't go old. Cookie will rot, but that will stay.
Yeah, there's that tells you something. Don't eat the Oreo cookies. But
just eat the cream.
What? Yeah, but you know what? It's okay to eat it because it's just going to pass through you anyways.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot worse things in the atmosphere that's already in your body. Just go ahead and enjoy life.
Enjoy Oreo cookies.
Yeah, eat as many as you can before your parents catch you.
Yeah, like I did.
That's what Eric does. That's what Ryan's trying. He hasn't figured out that you just take it yet. He still asks.
When did I stop asking? How long did that take me?
Oh man, it was probably the point that you realized that, hey, I'm making money. I could buy my own cookies. But I'm not yeah. I'm not going to buy my own cookies as long as I can keep eating yours. It was probably about the time that you finished high school and started working full time that you finally just stopped asking, like, can I have chips? And you just kind of help yourself at that point.
I've been good like in the last 2 years though. I buy most of my own stuff now.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we would probably have a huge disagreement if Mom was in the room right now.
Oh yeah.
but yes, I recognize that you buy some of your own stuff. Like, I see boxes of Kleenex, and I'm thinking, why are you buying Kleenex? If you're out of Kleenex, we can buy more Kleenex.
Oh, Mom brought that in.
Oh, okay.
She just plopped it on the ground, gestured at it, and then I was like, okay.
Awesome. Oh, here, I thought that you bought those.
Nope. I would if I needed them.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, that's great. You feel like you need something, then on your way home, like a bag of chips, then I'm okay with you stopping and getting a bag of chips and a chocolate bar for Mom and me. And
I buy dinners every now and then too.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Just so you know, Eric and Ryan are good kids. Eric's better because he makes money.
I'm going to clip that and send it to Ryan. He's going to be so hurt by this.
It's not true, Ryan. I know, he'll just clip that out.
I have the power in this scenario. Anyway.
You just have more opportunities. Ryan is good because he buys Mom stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Without even being prompted to. And I know you can just clip that out too.
I sure can. Anyway, I think we'll wrap this up here. We've been going for a little while.
Well, okay.
So, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming on as well.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.